that down. Let's move on to this, shall we? You know, I was really excited when they announced that James Gunn was going to take over with a partner, of course, taking over DC and going to start a brand new DC cinematic universe. Something that I had said, even though I liked almost all of the old DCEU films, myself and a lot of you guys have been saying for many years they needed to reboot that universe. And now they're doing it. And of course, Superman is currently in production, as is Peacemaker. The new season of Peacemaker is also in production. But James Gunn hopped on social media and put up this post. James Gunn says, always nice to have friends visiting set. And if you'll notice, the guy in the second chair with the baseball cap leaning forward, that's Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt on set of Superman. Now, before anybody gets too excited about Chris Pratt being in Superman, James Gunn has mentioned he was just visiting the set. But let's be honest, it's probably exactly that, but also a little bit more than that. If you guys remember, Chris Pratt some time ago talked about the idea that he would be totally up for working with James Gunn over at DC as well. And remember, there is nothing stopping an actor from being in both a Warner Brothers movie and a Disney movie and a Universal movie and a Sony movie. Actors work with different studios playing different characters all the time. We've had a long line of actors play characters in both. We even had Lawrence Fishburne not long ago, who at the time was still the existing Perry White in DC, and he was in Ant-Man 2 at the same time. So Chris Pratt can still be Star-Lord because we are going to get more Star-Lord in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's going to be more Star-Lord. We know that. So it's kind of clear at some point, because him and James Gunn are so tight, at some point Chris Pratt will be popping up in a DC movie. And I think him just showing up to set of a Superman movie kind of, again, does not say he's going to be in Superman, but I think it really establishes the fact that at some point he will end up being in DC, working with James Gunn again. So I thought it would be fun for a second, even though I have absolutely zero insider information on this, to go over who I think would be the top 5 best matches for Chris Pratt. Now, before I go into these 5, let me reiterate. He might be a terrible match for some of these characters, depending on how, when they come into the DC universe, how they're written, right? Because they may write a certain character a completely different way than we imagine it, and then Chris Pratt wouldn't be a good fit. So this is all fan speculation, but I got 5 particular characters that I think that Chris Pratt would be pretty damn good for in DC. The first one being Booster Gold.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of people for a long time, the moment they said James Gunn, you know what? Some people, even before James Gunn took over DC, there were people before even that speculating that Chris Pratt would actually make a pretty good Booster Gold. And especially if you lead Booster Gold to what should be his inevitable, summation, being a partnership with a Blue Beetle, and they make that like a buddy cop kind of thing, and Chris Pratt with the right actor playing opposite them could be a lot of fun. Now, some people would say the one drawback of a Booster Gold is it might be considered a little too similar in some ways to Star-Lord, a character he's already very well known for. And there's some legitimacy to that caution, but still, I think it would be a pretty darn good fit depending on how he's written. So, and these are in no particular order, by the way, except for the last one. The last one is my number 1. But the first one I'm going to mention here is Booster Gold. Next, Hal Jordan. Now, we've already got our Guy Gardner, Green Lantern. Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, that's Nathan Fillion. We know we're getting another Green Lantern thing, and we're going to get multiple Green Lanterns in that. Probably John Stewart, Hal Jordan, maybe even a Kyle Rayner, maybe a Kilowog, I don't know. But if you guys remember, for those of you who've watched enough movies, Chris Pratt doesn't just do the jovial Andy character from Parks and Rec or the jovial Star-Lord character. He's done some good drama. And he can do that. And a character like Hal Jordan, I think that would mix very well with him because he could bring both of those aspects to it. So Hal Jordan would be up there as well. The third character I would mention is a slightly older Barry Allen. An older, maybe a little bit more experienced. Remember, this new DC cinematic universe is not starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Like the world in the DC universe is not just meeting superheroes. We are jumping into a new cinematic universe where superheroes are already there and they've been there for a while, right? So it could be an opportunity to have like a slightly more veteran Barry Allen as Flash, which would then also allow you to open the door because, you know, Chris Pratt is by far young enough to play Flash for another 10 years, but also he's old enough that you could start introducing other Flash variants as well as they go, whether it's a kid Flash or whatever it is you want to do. They've got possibilities. It just opens up a world of possibilities that I think are interesting. Guys, we want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Liquid IV. You know, it seems like summer's just designed to make us thirsty, whether it's camping, hiking, playing sports, and staying hydrated is the key to making the most of every moment. Because summer requires extraordinary hydration that's built for everyday dehydrating moments. Liquid IV hydrates me with benefits like electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients. With 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients in a single stick, it's clearly why Liquid IV is the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. It has 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink. Just tear, pour, and live more. Just 1 stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. With 8 vitamins and nutrients, non-GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. There's no artificial colors or sweeteners, and it's got 4 delicious sugar-free flavors: white peach, green grape, raspberry melon, and lemon lime. So turn your ordinary water into extraordinary hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code Campea at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code Campea at liquidiv.com. So, the 3 I've already mentioned are Flash, Hal Jordan, Booster Gold. Now I want to, and those were in no particular order, but I want to give you my top 2. All right? Here are my top 2 picks for Chris Pratt. One is a character I've already mentioned would be good for a couple of other actors, but I think Chris Pratt would be great. He is low-key one of the most powerful characters in the DC universe who has no problems getting in Superman's face. Plastic Man. Now, again, like I said, I know I've mentioned Plastic Man. You know, there's been 1 or 2 other actors before that I thought maybe could be a pretty good Plastic Man. Chris Pratt as Plastic Man, I honestly think he would kill it. Now, you may or may not love the idea of Plastic Man, but if you really think about it, Chris Pratt playing that character would be absolutely killer. Absolutely killer. He would be completely fantastic. He would be able to play the funny, but also the crazy and also the dark parts of Plastic Man. I think he could be all of those things. And when you think about it, Plastic Man is completely the kind of character that I think gives James Gunn wet dreams. James Gunn, who gave us Polka Dot Man and, Vigilante and whatever. You telling me James Gunn wouldn't love to do a Plastic Man? I guarantee you he would love to do a Plastic Man. And I think Chris Pratt, an actor he loves working with, would be a really good fit for it. So that's my number 2 pick. But my number 1 that I think Chris Pratt would absolutely kill, like would be a great match for this character. Another character that I think James Gunn would love to do and explore, and maybe only James Gunn would love to do and explore. Hell yeah! Kite Man! I'm not even kidding. Kite Man, hell yeah. Can you imagine that? Because first of all, let's go to the basic thing. Kite Man is absolutely the type of character James Gunn would do. No doubt about it. He would. Kite Man has become also kind of a favorite amongst a lot of fans of the Harley Quinn show. People love Kite Man in that show. He's wonderful. And Chris Pratt playing a Kite Man? Beautiful match. He could be all of that. Now, picture Kite Man from Harley Quinn, but also with a little bit more seriousness, a little bit more groundedness, a little bit more groundedness, and you add Chris Pratt playing that character, I could hear him saying, hell yeah, already.
That would be something if it was phase 2 and phase whatever they're calling it is making money and the ball is rolling. I don't think throwing Chris Pratt in a Kite Man in their first phase is going to really generate dollars. Like, you know what I mean? Like a Kite Man. Do you actually think it would make money?
It would be a standalone.
You actually think if Kite Man...
I think
so. You think that many people watch Harley?
No. It's irrelevant.
Oh, okay.
I think a new movie with a character most people have never heard of, just a brand new movie that could look, if marketed right, as good as this would look, as fun as it would look, with somebody that the movie-going audience recognizes very much and is very comfortable with, like a Chris Pratt. Now, a $1 billion movie? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But a $450 million movie? Yes. I would also remind everybody that, Guardians of the Galaxy, which was a special exception, but Guardians of the Galaxy, characters that nobody had ever heard of. You put it together right, you market it right. Now, the advantage that Guardians of the Galaxy had was that Guardians of the Galaxy, while still early, came into a already kind of firing on all cylinders Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right. People trust
that as it may, Iron Man wasn't in it. Captain America wasn't there. Thor didn't show up. Black Widow wasn't there. There's no Hawkeye in sight, and Hulk wasn't there. So, yes, it was in the MCU, but there was nothing recognizable about it. I think Kite Man could be one of those films that if you do it right and market it right, it can come out as a $400 to $450 million movie. And then a sequel could be like a $700 million movie. And remember, James Gunn's first DC movie featured Polka Dot Man and King Shark. King Shark, a CG walking shark voiced by Sylvester Stallone. And he made it work, and it was great. So, my recommendations, in no particular order at first, are Booster Gold, Hal Jordan, Flash, but then my top two would have to be Plastic Man and, hell yeah, Kite Man. I think if anybody can make this work, and somebody who would love to make this work, it would be a James Gunn.
You had no villains in mind that he could play? That ever? No, you don't want to see him play a villain, maybe?
No.
Okay.
I didn't say it.
I know. I'm just asking. I'm asking as a question. I'm not saying as a statement.
Because believe me, it's a good question, because if James Gunn were to announce tomorrow that Chris Pratt, I'm just going to pull out some random names, Sinestro, or Chris Pratt being Captain Cold, or playing one of the pantheon of DC villains, I'd be completely down for it. I'd be totally down for it. However, if you're looking at really leveraging your marketing and being able to build on something, because let's face it, most comic book movies, the villains are one and done, right? Not all the time, but in most comic book movies, villains are one or done. Chris Pratt is one of those actors you could build a franchise within the franchise, and maybe could work. Again, and maybe he doesn't show up in anything, but the question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Chris Pratt just igniting more of the speculation again by actually being there, showing up on set. And James Gunn is no dummy. He knows putting that post up on social media is going to get people talking. Who could you see him playing in the DCU now? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.